So today I'm going to make a chicken cordon bleu casserole. We have been sick in our house for the past 2 weeks. Now at least one person in our home has been sick. So today my oldest daughter is home sick. Last week I had my youngest daughter, my youngest boy. Before that it was my oldest boy and my middle daughter. It's just been crazy. So the only one who's not sick, who hasn't gotten sick yet, even Dave and I were sick. We were sick while we were on our spring break, but the only one who hasn't been sick yet is our middle boy, Max. And hopefully if he does get sick, it happens soon because I just want to kind of get it over with. My mom's supposed to come visit us at the end of the week, and I don't want to share our cooties with her. So today we're going to make a chicken cordon bleu casserole. It's one of my favorite dishes. And I'm basically just going to start by cooking this chicken. A lot of times what I do for this is use rotisserie chicken that I get from Costco because it's so cheap, and I use the leftover from that. But I don't have any of that right now. I have a ton of food in my freezer, which you saw if you saw my pantry / freezer walkthrough tour. And I need to use up some of the things in my house. So I'm going to use this frozen chicken, and half of it I'm going to put in here to make this chicken cordon bleu casserole. And the other half I'm going to use later on in the week for chicken fettuccine alfredo. And I'm just going to grill that chicken up. So we're just going to cook these large chicken breasts right here, and that's going to be enough to feed our family with this dish. Plus I'm going to make some rice to go with it and veggies. I just went shopping for some fresh things and have a bunch of fresh veggies in the house. And I'm sure you'll see that in a later grocery haul. This bag right here is basically trash. I don't know, stuff you would probably throw away, but I do not. So it is carrot peels and onion skins and the ends of celery, and I throw it all in my freezer until I'm going to make broth. And in this case, I'm going to use the chicken juice from this recipe as my broth when I make the casserole. So I'm just going to pour some of this in here, and make sure I get some of the carrots, some of the onions, and some of the celery, a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything in here. And then we're just going to put the chicken in, cover it with water, and cook it until it's done. And I'm hoping that 20 minutes will do it. It's frozen. But the goal here is to have it basically shred. Oh, I can't even break it apart. It's still frozen. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside. I'm going to fill this up with water, and I'm going to set my Instant Pot for 20 minutes. Just basically covering the chicken like that. I'm just going to stick it in. You see it? I'm going to put my lid on and set my Instant Pot. 20 minutes. I'm hoping that the whole thing is done and I can shred my chicken and get it ready for the casserole. And that's it. It's just going to start, and in 20 minutes we should be good to go. Alright, and the other thing I needed for this recipe is some ham, and I'm just going to use up some of this luncheon meat ham that I bought on clearance. You see that? I bought it on clearance. Stuck it in my freezer, and now I'm going to use about half of it in this recipe when I'm going to make the chicken cordon bleu casserole, and I'll finish it up when this Instant Pot is done. Okay, it's done. Let's see. Let's see how it came out. Why is my head always puffed up? I don't know. I'm not even that tall. I'm like 5'3", maybe? I'm just checking to see if the chicken looks done and can be shredded at this point. And it seems, yeah, it seems done. So I'm going to pull out the chicken, and then we're going to strain the broth, and I'm going to use that tonight when I make the actual casserole. Pull off any extra carrot strips or onion peels we've got in there. Looks pretty good. Piece of carrot right there. Okay. And there's my chicken, and I'm going to shred that. Set that aside. Okay guys, easiest way to shred chicken. Have you tried this before? You just and there you go, shredded chicken. Super easy, super quick. Okay, that's my favorite way to do that. But again, if you have rotisserie chicken or already cooked chicken in your freezer or in your fridge, just use that. You don't have to cook more chicken. I'm only doing this because I wanted to use up what I already had and I didn't want to go to the store. Okay, you're never gonna actually hear me complain about my kids putting the dishes away. However, I can't find something I'm looking for. So I'm going to improvise because I don't want to complain about it. I'm just happy the dishes get put away and I don't have to do it. So I need to strain out the broth from all these veggies that I put into it. So I'm going to do that here, and I'm just going to push that down so you can see. But I have no idea where my metal strainer is that I usually use for this, so we're just going to use this plastic one. Whole another piece of chicken in there. All right, those are my veggies. I'm going to toss that now that we've used them. My garbage disposal, and then you can see the broth is really flavorful looking, darker, richer in color than just a clear broth that would be from the chicken. And I'm going to use that to make the sauce for my chicken cordon bleu casserole. What I'm going to do right now is just kind of let this sit out and maybe skim off some of the fat off the top that came from the chicken. And then I'll be able to use it when I go to make the dish in a little bit. All right, let me clean up while that cools down. And I'm just going to chop up some of this ham to stick on top of the casserole, and I probably will put the rest in the fridge and use it for, save about that much, and I'll use it in with, I'll save about that much and I'll use this in with eggs. So I think I'm going to save about a third of it and use that in with eggs when we have another breakfast meal later in the week. So what do you guys do for breakfast in the morning with your kids? Do they eat breakfast at school? Do you feed them before you go to school? How does it work in your house? Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know. In our house, we eat breakfast before we go, even though school lunches are still free and breakfast is included in that. If my kids don't eat breakfast in the morning, they are a nightmare, and I don't want to have my teachers deal with that issue. So I feed them before we get out the door, and usually they have things like, sometimes we do frozen waffles that I've made that I've stuck in the freezer, pancakes, and then they've really been digging those, what are they called? Pigs in a blanket. They're sausage and they're on a stick and they have a pancake wrapped around them. They're not cheap. They're like $5 for the box, but that feeds all of them too for the breakfast. And I think that's pretty great for feeding 5 of them anyway. My oldest son drinks coffee in the morning, which is funny because Dave and I don't drink coffee at all. And then he'll make himself an egg or some toast to go with it. And then the other kids will eat like cereal or Pop-Tarts or the waffles or the pigs in a blanket, that kind of thing. Mostly cereal though. I think cereal is their go-to. It's easy. They can do it themselves. They get to pick the flavors they want. I always have it available in the pantry for them. So it's kind of their favorite thing. Okay, so here I have chopped up all the ham, and I'm going to use that in the casserole. Can you see that? And now I'm going to actually put the casserole together. And for those of you who know me really well, know that chicken cordon bleu is one of my all-time favorite foods. There's a restaurant called The Back Room, the Puritan Back Room. It's in Manchester, New Hampshire. It's been open my entire life. I don't even know when it opened, but I remember going there with my family when I was just a little kid, maybe 3 or 4 years old, and ordering dinner there, meeting my grandparents there for dinner on a Sunday night. Just my favorite place to go as a kid, and chicken cordon bleu was on the menu, and it was one of my favorite ways to eat it. And now that I've gotten older, I kind of realize what the flavor profile is, and I've been able to kind of do a copycat recipe for the sauce, which is the sauce is the reason why it's so delicious. It's salty and it's flavorful, and I just love it. So I've ordered chicken cordon bleu at other restaurants before, and I've had it at other people's homes before. It's technically a piece of chicken breast that's been filleted open, and then you put in ham, and then you put in ham and cheese, and you broil it or bake it in the oven and then broil it on the top to get it kind of crispy. And a lot of people bread it and do it that way. And this is not breaded. This is all because the sauce is so delicious. So I'm going to show you how to make that sauce today. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is just take a couple of tablespoons of butter. This isn't really a lot for this whole recipe, but I'm going to make a 9 by 13 pan. And I'm just going to melt that butter down in there. We're just melting the butter. I'm going to make a quick roux, and I'm going to use some gluten-free flour so that I can eat it. This recipe also has soy sauce in it, and I'm going to use gluten-free soy sauce in my recipe as well, just so that I can eat it. I don't have like celiac, but I do get itchy and hives if I eat too much wheat, so I try to cut it out as much as I can. I try not to eat things that have it in there if I know they have them in there. Again, I don't worry about every little thing because, again, I don't have celiac. It doesn't really bother my stomach, but it does make me very itchy and sometimes break out in hives. Okay, so that's the butter. And then we're going to throw some gluten-free flour in here, a couple tablespoons of flour, just to get a little bit. There you go. So 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of flour, and we're just going to cook this. And if you're not gluten-free, just use regular flour. It's all good. Okay. So stir that around, let it cook a little bit so that the roux doesn't taste like flour. When your sauce won't taste like flour, you want to let that cook a little bit. So I'm just going to let that do its thing while I get out the other ingredients. We're going to need chicken broth that I've strained and taken the grease off the top. And then a little bit of lemon juice, the soy sauce like I mentioned, and that is pretty much it. So to this sauce, I'm going to add, I want to say 2 cups of chicken broth to start with, but I'm going to measure it for you as I go, and I normally don't measure. So I'm going to try to do this for you so you can see, but I only want to add a little at a time so I don't get lumps in my broth. I'm going to add about 1/2 cup, stir it around some, add another 1/2 cup. And don't add any extra salt until you taste it because of the soy sauce being so salty. Okay, so I added 3 cups of broth to this, and I just did it a little bit at a time until it made it combine and there are no lumps. But that's all you do to make a gravy is flour and butter, equal parts, and then you add broth to it, and that's it, and then you add flavoring. I'm not going to add salt to this because I'm going to add soy sauce, I'm going to start with about a half a cup of soy sauce. But if you taste it and think it needs more, you can always add more. Okay. So that's about a half a cup. There we go. And then this calls, and I think it needs about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice also. And then I'm going to taste it and I'll tell you what I think. So I'm just going to add 2 capfuls of this, which I'm assuming is about, well, maybe a little bit more than about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. To that, stir it around. And I think that tastes pretty good. I just put the ham and chicken mixed together in this casserole dish. It doesn't look like a lot of food, but it's a ton of food. Guys, it's a 9 by 13 pan and it's chock full. And I'm gonna slice up this mozzarella cheese and then put that over the top. You have Swiss cheese. I highly recommend that. That's what I would use. This is my substitute because my kids don't love Swiss. Okay. So I just layer it onto the dish like that. I'm gonna put this way. Like limited counter space to work here. My kitchen's pretty big, but I don't have a lot of space to actually work. Okay, so now this sauce is cooled off just a tad. I'm gonna pour this over the top. Okay, and then I'm just gonna kind of move it all around. Okay, so that's kind of it, and this is just going to go in the oven to bake at 350 for about 15 minutes until it's, I don't know, bubbly and delicious. And this just came out of the oven.
I'm going to dish up some on my plate here for you and show you what it looks like. And I'm hoping that you guys get a chance to make this. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. And subscribe if you can. I would love to see you in future videos. Thanks for watching.